Hello everyone, Jeff here again. This is the third time I'm trying to make this video. This is a Spin Zone video, and yesterday I had made actually two videos which have already been uploaded, and I tried making a third one yesterday, but I kept getting interrupted because people kept calling me. And when I'm recording on my phone and I get a phone call, it stops the video. So after the second interruption, I said, alright, I'm going to put it off till tomorrow, which is today. I've got a stack of records to show you. I've been a busy boy since the last Spin Zone, and I've been making all kinds of other videos on other different topics and contests. So back to the main meat of the matter here. A couple of little housekeeping clarifications I wanted to make. It's like a more or less like a postscript to the Telefunken project. You can kind of see it back there. I ended up reinstalling the record player into the cabinet, plugged everything in, hooked it up, and when I showed the one short video where I showed the back panel of the stereo unit, I had it plugged into it was actually the tape input for the tape player. And I talked with Russ, and he actually commented, I think, on the video and said, you know, it's supposed to be in the stereo input, and when I tried it the first time, I wasn't getting any sound, but the reason for that is because I pressed the wrong button on the front panel, because it's not really marked phono, tape, whatever. It's more or less stereo is one button, and then you have like SW1, SW2. Well, the stereo button is actually for the record player. So I plugged the plug back into the correct input, and I got much better sound. But I didn't want to make another video showing that because I just didn't want to grind it into the ground, even though I'm probably doing it more now, talking about it more. But I just wanted to clarify that. And one other thing, a rare CD purchase that I got in the mail. I mentioned in my last Spin Zone about the Bruce Springsteen show. I showed the Piece de Resistance box set. It was like a 3-record set that I acquired on eBay. And I said that I had ordered the show, the live show, which was from the following day in 1978, and that came in the mail. I ordered this from Bruce Springsteen's website. So I got this in the mail the other day. This is the Passaic Capitol Theater in Passaic, New Jersey, on September 20th, 1978. And it's a 3 CD set. Hopefully the glare's not too bad. You can see the song selection here. And I mean, beyond this emblem, it's really just a basic cardboard sleeve with 3 discs. I'll just pull one out here to show you. You know, real nice looking custom labels. I haven't played this yet. Obviously, I will very soon because I really enjoyed the one set that I listened to. But like I said, the sound quality was pretty crappy. So I fully expect this to sound a lot better, and I will report back after I listen to this, but I just wanted to show this to you guys. Okay, on to the records. This one is not a themed Spin Zone. I came close to doing like a mini theme with country albums because I listened to Mike Nesmith and the First National Band's Magnetic South. This is the first album that they released, and yes, it's a cutout album. As you can see, it's got the notch there. Andrew from Tales from the Crate did a video on this album for his Lost Vinyl Classics series. I would encourage you to check that video out. He talks more in depth about this album than I will now. Plus he gave some needle drops, so if you're interested in learning a little bit more about this album, I would recommend you go check his video out. Mike Nesmith and the First National Band released 3 albums, as you all pretty much know, I think. I learned about these guys from VC, so I've seen these albums pop up. I picked up Loose Salute, which is the second album, and I really liked it. And long story short, I ended up picking up the other 2 albums. So here's the label, original RCA label. And this album has the original inner sleeve showing RCA products. I love seeing the thing about the 8-track cassettes. This album came out in 1970, so 8-track was pretty cutting edge in 1970. But still, I like seeing these inner sleeves in such nice condition in albums like this. And it's no surprise, once I played Magnetic South, I then played their third album, Nevada Fighter. Also a cutout. Really no surprise here because like these albums just flopped when they were originally released. So, and he put all 3 out, I think, in the span of like 18 months, something like that. I think the first 2 came out in 1970. This one came out in 1971. So all 3 of these albums are really good. They all basically sound the same. You know, it's that country, not country rock, but it's like, I guess it would be almost like roots music or even like alt country would probably be a good way to describe it. And the singing and playing are pretty stellar. I mean, yeah, it's got pedal steel on a lot of these tracks, you know, but they do some good covers. Like on this album, they cover I Looked Away, which was a Derek and the Dominos track. The title track on this I really enjoyed too, Nevada Fighter. And of course, this is an RCA album from the early 70s, so you know what that means, don't you? Dynaflex. I love doing that. These records are all in good shape too. So, and they play beautifully, they sound great, and I really like them. So, there you go. Moving on from that, another estate sale find, ZZ Top here with El Loco. This was the album that came out before Eliminator, which was their gigantic hit. This one here has got Tube Snake Boogie on it, Pearl Necklace were the hits, I believe. But everything else on this album is pretty good too. It's not quite as down and dirty as their earlier albums were. Like you could see, they were kind of trying to modernize their sound slightly, which they did in a big way with Eliminator. But this is kind of, I guess, I don't know if ZZ Top's the kind of band to have like a transitional album, but if they did, this would probably be it for me. But it was still a good listen. El Loco by ZZ Top. And then, as soon as I got this album, it went right to the top of the pile or case, as the case may be, to listen to, and that is Nas Nas. This was one of the albums that Hannah sent me, the Omaha Introvert. So that night, after I opened this package up, which you guys all saw, I spun this album, and I really, really liked it. I mean, I'm used to Todd's solo work, Todd Rundgren. Never listened to anything by the Nas before, and this was a really, really enjoyable record. I played this that night, and then the next day or the day after that I played it again, and I liked it just as much, and I'm sure I'm going to be playing this many more times in the future. So, Nas Nas this is a great record, and everyone's telling me how rare it is, so that's why I'm even more thankful to Hannah for sending it to me on the SGC label. So yeah, it's they're on my mental list now to look for their other albums, and I don't even know how many there are. I think there's 3, but very happy to have this one. This was a really great listen, I gotta say. And then when I did the contest entry for B-Side Records, and I showed News of the World as one of my Queen albums, it had been so long since I played it, and my wife saw the video and she's like, "Oh, play that! I want to hear it." So I played it again, and it's a great record. You know, I'd forgotten about it. It just happens. You know, there's so many albums that we've got. There's so much music that we listen to. It's easy to forget just how good some of these albums actually are. So right after I uploaded it, my wife watched it and she wanted to hear it. So her wish is my command. So I played News of the World. And it's a great album. Great album by Queen. We love Queen. And then, moving up to these next couple of albums, probably got shown on Facebook. This was actually the last album by Stevie Ray Vaughan that I hadn't played all the way through yet. I picked this one up, geez, months and months ago. And it went into the case, and, you know, things happen. It gets pushed back. It gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. But I wanted... I knew it was there, and I wanted to listen to it last weekend, so that's just what we did. And here's the gatefold. Epic pressing, I believe. It's on the Epic label, yep. And in the realm of, you know, live albums by Stevie Ray, this is right up there. It may not be quite as good as his Carnegie Hall one appearance. That was a double album too, but it's close. And Jimmy Vaughan, his brother, guest stars on a lot of these tracks too. So Live Alive by Stevie Ray completes my listening of, I think, all of his music. I don't think there's anything that I'm necessarily missing. I think the only one I don't have on vinyl is the one called In the Beginning, but I've got that as a digital copy. So if I ever come across that someday, I'll grab it. But for all intents and purposes, I've pretty much got all of Stevie Ray's music. So this was a very fun listen to, as all of his records are. And then last weekend, speaking of last weekend, I went to the mall with my wife and daughter because it's homecoming season. And she got asked to homecoming by a boy, so of course I gotta get a new dress. You gotta get, you know, gotta look good, gotta get the shoes. Yeah. So my wife and I took her to the mall, and there was a Barnes & Noble there at the mall. So I said, okay guys, I'll see you later. I'm gonna go here and look around. And of course I went to the vinyl section of the store, and I was just, you know, casually looking around, seeing what they had. You know, they had the new Coltrane album that I've seen pop up, but it's just way too expensive. I can't see spending $36 on a album like that. I gotta find a deal somewhere. But anyway, that's just one of the things I was looking at as I was flipping through records. And then I saw this album, which I'm about to show you, and I bought it more as a present for my wife and daughter because they're far bigger fans of Coldplay than I. But I bought X and Y on vinyl for them. And we played it that evening when we got home. This is actually kind of a lavish package here. It's got this slipcase, you know, this outer slipcase here, and then you've got the album itself, and it's a double album, and it folds out into this gatefold, and then you get custom inner sleeves along with the record that comes in a plasticized, I guess, second inner sleeve. So, and then here's the record, 180 gram vinyl, very, very nice. It played wonderfully, sounded great. And on top of all of that, you get a custom inner for the other record, and you also get this, it's a gigantic poster of the cover art on one side. I'm not going to unfold it for you because it's really gigantic. And then on the other side is the same picture as the gatefold. So, and it was a decent price. It was like $21, $22, something like that. So, even though I'm trying not to buy that many new records, when I saw this, because I know my wife's made some requests for me to try to find some Coldplay on vinyl, and she says this is her favorite album. So when I saw it there, I really couldn't resist. So I said, what the heck, I'll just get it. And I like Coldplay too. Probably not as much as the two of them, but you know, they have their good songs too. I think Speed of Sound is my favorite album off of it, favorite song off this album. So, you know, it's okay. It's all right. I like it. But I tell you what I like even more is Magic Sam. Now this one I posted on Facebook, I know. Picked this up at Record Show some months ago and peeled the shrink wrap off it and played it. This was Magic Sam's second album, Black Magic. It is on the Delmark label. Came with a nice thick plastic inner, which is always nice. Always like to see that. And although there aren't as many guitar solos on this record, this is more of like a it's more of like a groove album. You know, there's not too many, he doesn't take too many solos the way like a traditional electric blues band would do. But his singing is just fantastic, and the songs are great. And you know, it's got a great horn section. And yeah, I got to say, the guy I bought this from had all three Magic Sam albums. He had West Side Soul, which I've got on CD, so that's why I didn't get it. And he also had a live album, which I should have bought. In hindsight, I should have bought it. Oh well. If I come across it again in the future, I will. But at the time when I was standing there, I knew I didn't have this one. I'd never heard this before, so that's why I bought it. And it was pretty cheap, too. It was only like 15 bucks for a brand new reissue. So, I'll take it. I love Magic Sam. Okay. Going back to the country theme here, I showed Johnny Cash album for a contest entry video that I made yesterday. But before that, I also had this in my rolling record crate, so I decided to play this too. Johnny Cash at San Quentin. Great live album with lots of great interplay with Johnny and the band. Oh, I think there's lawnmowers running around out there. Hold on, I'm going to pause this video 1 second. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I closed the windows because I had the windows open here. There's guys across the street mowing the grass, and I didn't want that to interrupt. So, back to Johnny at San Quentin. This is another 2-Aught Columbia. I actually bought this one. I didn't inherit it, which is kind of unusual. So there you go. Because the more I'm going along here, the more I'm liking Johnny Cash's music. And a lot of the albums that I did inherit are really not very playable. So I wanted to have a couple things that I could play and enjoy without being too distracted by the horrible surface of the record wrecking my needle. So in that regard, I picked this up. You can see the set list, and yes, he does play San Quentin 2 times in a row. I don't know why they put that on the album, but he did. So and this is really Johnny Cash in his prime in the late 60s, early 70s. So and really, who plays prisons? I mean, it always struck me as being kind of ballsy to play it in prisons like that. I don't know. That just seems rock and roll to me. But be that as it may, Johnny Cash at San Quentin is a great album. I know it's a classic. I know a lot of people love this album. I do too. So there you go. And then I showed this one. This was my contest entry one. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. This is probably the one record that I inherited that is very playable, and I'm just showing it here just for continuity's sake, because this is all the stuff I've listened to over the last week and a half. So, and I actually ended up liking this almost more than San Quentin. So I'll be playing this one again very soon. I know I say that a lot in these videos because going back to the one that I just uploaded about listening habits, but it's true. A lot of times I'll set certain ones aside, you know, to listen to again as time permits before I file them away on a more long-term basis in my shelving units. So this one won't get filed away quite as quickly because I want to hear it again. So Hello, I'm Johnny Cash is a winner for me. That was going to be it for the records if I had made this video yesterday, but since I didn't, I kept getting interrupted and cut off, so I instead spent that time listening to a couple more records. So you're going to get bonus material on this Spin Zone today. The first one being Chicago's Greatest Hits. This is Chicago's Greatest Hits 2, Volume 2. This was another VCLT album that Hannah sent me. So I just spun it for the heck of it. You know, I saw it there just leaning up against my shelving units and said to myself, play that record. So that's what I did. It's kind of a mixture of hits going back to like their first album, like Question 67 and 68 is on here. If You Leave Me Now, because there's no track list on the back of this album. There's just all these little pictures. So you get Baby What a Big Surprise. They have dialogue on here, but it's the second part where it's just the chanting, you know, we can make it happen, we can make it happen. Just that part was on here, not the entire song. So it's really dialogue part 2, not parts 1 and 2. Old Days is on here. Alive Again, which is a rarely heard Chicago song that I really like. So yeah, it's Chicago. I love these guys. I've got a couple of more of their albums in there to play. Hopefully they're in good enough shape to be played. So this is always a pleasant listen, a pleasant diversion. One of my favorite bands. I love Chicago. So thank you again, Hannah. And finally, this one I just posted this morning, just before I made this video. I was eating a little breakfast and I decided to get one more record in for this video, and it's the Bee Gees' first album. And here's the back. You can see all these songs here. This is a very jam-packed album. There's a lot of songs on this record. And it's on the old school Atco label. And looking in the dead wax, I don't know how this is going to show. I don't know if you can be able to see it, but there's a big M in the dead wax, which I think means that it's a Monarch pressing. I'm hoping that's what it means. It also has a big AT in the dead wax, and then of course you got the matrix number. So I'm guessing this is an early pressing. I don't know if it's an original pressing or not, but just the Atco label with the purple and gold leads me to believe that it's a earlier pressing. So, and the cover is very thick cardboard. It's not flimsy and cheap. So I think I've got a early pressing of this thing. Not that that really matters, but sometimes that's what makes records fun, is trying to figure out the pedigree of the copy that you have. Another thing is it's got an original inner on it. This Atco inner listing all of their titles. On the back side you can see some of the pictures of album covers here from what's the latest Atco releases. But anyway, back to the music itself. This album is very, very psych sounding, and it's very, very Beatlesque. Those were the comments I put on Facebook, and I kind of stand by them, especially on side 2. I mean, these guys tried really hard to sound like the Beatles, circa, you know, mid-60s. I think this album came out in 67, so yeah, it sounds nothing like the 70s disco Bee Gees. So, in fact, To Love Somebody is on this record, which I think was a hit for them. New York Mining Disaster, 1941. I know I've heard that before. Every Christian Lion-Hearted Man Will Show You. Very long title, but it was a good song too, just to name a couple of really good ones on this album. So I've also got the Odessa album. I'm probably going to play that later today or maybe tomorrow. I've seen it pop up on the VC and on Facebook, so my curiosity is piqued on it. So that's why I played this one first. For continuity, you know, just to keep everything in order for my whacked out OCDs. So yeah, you'll probably see that album in the next Spin Zone. But for now, Bee Gees First is a very, very good listen. It's very, like I said, very psych, very Beatlesque, kind of crossed with it almost has like a nugget sound to it on certain tracks. You know, it just has that mid to late 60s guitar sound. And their singing is great. I mean, they had great harmonies, but it's not that real high falsetto stuff that they did during their disco era. So they actually sing like normal people on this record, for lack of a better term. So yeah, this was a good listen. I enjoy the Bee Gees, so it's nice hearing their earlier stuff compared to their more popular, bigger selling disco era. So Bee Gees First is a final album for this video. And there you have it. Like again, I'm running long, but I had a ton of records to show. Sorry. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. And I will talk to you again all very soon. So until then, peace and take care. And I'll see you.